Coaching in Session,
your exclusive destination for unparalleled personal and professional growth.
With your host, Michael Rearden.
Whether you choose to live within limits or break free, your mindset journey begins here.
When was the last time you looked at your health as a whole? Now, I understand as an adult, you might not be one of those people who go to the doctors every single year. You might not check out some things that are maybe hurting you, right? So, for example, maybe your shoulder is hurting you and you're like, oh, this old age and you don't do anything about it. Maybe your knees are hurting. You say, I worked out really hard and, it's nothing, right? So we can pass off things sometimes. And sometimes we don't go to the doctors to get a clean bill of health. But sometimes you don't even have to go to the doctors to realize if you're healthy, if you're not. Now, there's two aspects to health. There's the physical health and then there is the mind health, right? Now, the physical health is very easy to understand. We can look at BMI. Of course, that's going to be different depending on culture. But we can look in the mirror also. We can see if we have any extra fats in areas, and we can look at if, if we are able to maybe do cardio without having a heart attack. And I will say, you should be able to do the things that you love to do. If you are a grandparent, for example, and you have grandkids, and maybe you love running around with your grandkids, you should be able to run around. That is your health, right? That is the physical that you should be striving for. But then again, there's people who don't want to run around with their grandkids and they just want to sit on the sofa and drink Coca-Cola all day. Of course, their idea for physical or being healthy is very different. If we maybe even ask them a question, this individual, right? And we say, if you go down this road, there's a good possibility that you can have diabetes, that you can maybe suffer from some type of cardiac arrest, a stroke, whatever it be. And maybe that's enough to scare them, right? And sure enough, right, society is beginning to change. The body positivity movement is ending. We can look at Adele beginning it off and then Lizzo saying in the beginning, like, you should love me for who I am and accepting her body. But then sure enough, down the road a little bit, she's like, I'm going to change. And she changes. And you know what she says about herself now? She goes, I'm so much happier with myself the way I look right now. And it wasn't that she didn't love herself before. It's just that she didn't realize how good she can feel by being healthier. And so now, of course, the world is going to hate her change because it's easier to hate someone who has done something that you don't want to commit to and do. So many people that will say, you know what? I'm not going to commit to physical change because it's too much work. I'm not going to dedicate myself to a lifetime of physical fitness because I can barely make it to the gym half a year. So you start New Year's and you end in March. My gym right now, it is empty. It is no people in it because we're already at the halfway point. We have already gone through the New Year people. Now it's just the diehard regulars, the people I see all the time. And so now for 6 months, I don't have to wait for equipment and I can do my workouts unabated by other people interfering. And it's not so much that I don't like other people, right? I love to speak with people, especially new people in the gym, but it is easier for me to kind of go in now and do my thing, right? There's no obstacles. So my physical fitness is going to be blazing ahead, but then many people that are going to struggle later on, right? And I have been one of those people who have stopped the physical fitness. I have said I was busy. College got in the way, family got in the way, my personal life, things, work got in the way. And so, I would try to create a schedule. And I would say, you know what, my schedule is, hopefully, not too challenging, right? I can still go to school and I can still go to work and I can still have some time to breathe. But then, I started to, not feel as strong as I used to. Going to the gym is like a pyramid scheme in a sense. You have to have energy to go to the gym, but going to the gym gives you energy. So many people, they will love to go to the gym, right? They would have this intention of going to the gym, but then again, they can't get over the hurdle of the investment, the time, the money maybe, right? The dedication that you have to do. So the physical is one big aspect. But today we're going to be looking at a different aspect, right? We're going to be looking at brain health and mental health. because we can look at the physical and we can look at the benefits of how going to the gym can help with both our brain health and our mental health. But when we start to dissect what brain health is and what mental health is, there are going to be some similarities. There are going to be some differences. And if we can understand both, we would start to step into the physical more. So just kind of doing something that's the predecessor for immense action in our life, meaning if you're not doing something right now, whether you're committing to something, whether it be you're in a dead end job and you feel stuck, you are living in your circumstance, there's something that's stopping you. The limiting beliefs are stepping in your mind. We need to start to look at our brain health and our mental health, because then when we can do that, everything else starts to fall into place, the physical, the happiness, the fulfillment, the joy, everything, because we did the work. Now, brain health and mental health now can be used in the same sentence in a sense, right? Because you might say, oh, my mental health is suffering or my brain health is not really good. But the brain health is going to be focused more on the physical aspect of the brain, right? Are you giving your brain the nutrients? Are you getting enough sleep, right? All of these different things that the brain needs in order to function properly. Now, the mental is going to be the limiting beliefs, is going to be our emotional status and state. And so we need to be making sure, are we doing what we need to do to make sure our mind is mentally fortified? Now, I do a really good job in this article today, and I encourage everyone to read it all the way through. The first part is going to be talking about brain health, and it's going to be talking about the critical components like nutrition, what you need to do, what type of foods you need to be eating. It's going to be talking about exercise, as how basically you might not think when you are working out the body, you're working out the mind too. The one benefit of working out is your mind is going to be challenging you. For example, you go on the treadmill, you go on the Stairmaster, your brain is going to say, listen, are you crazy? You're going on this Stairmaster, you're doing this thing and you're having a heart attack, your heart's beating, right? The fight or flight response is starting to kick in, and you have to make a choice. You have to say, you know what? I'm okay, or your right body, your right brain, and I'm going to listen to you and I'm going to stop. So when you're on that treadmill and you're running and you're doing what you have to do, you're doing jumping jacks and you stop, you better start back up. You better keep on going. And that helps the brain become fortified, because eventually the brain is going to say, you know what? This guy, this girl is crazy, right? This person just wants to do these crazy things and make their heart rate go up and things like that. And guess what the mind and the body does? They are going to prepare for that to happen more frequently, because if it knows it's coming, it's going to prepare for it. The mind and the body knows. So smart to say, you know what, this person is going to do it, so might as well give them the resources to do it. Not like, hey, you never did it before and you want all these resources that I don't want to give up, because again, the mind, the body, one of the systems is to conserve energy, not to expend energy. So going to the gym, you expend energy. But then again, after you go to the gym, right, you get stronger. It might not be the same day. It might not be the same week or the month or maybe even the year. But in a lifetime, the compound interest is going to, pay you dividends more than any 4K ever would. When we look at the mental health, it's a little bit different though. We are looking at our emotional state. Are you able to handle stress? Are you able to deal with outside stimulus like depression and anxiety? Of course, depression and anxiety are internal, but anxiety can come maybe from internal, but you can feel anxious about a situation. You can feel anxious about something that's out of your control. You can be depressed that you lost a job or something, right? There's many different experiences that you can be living in, right? Now, when it comes to managing that, many individuals don't know how to manage their emotions, right? Men, for example, are told not to deal with their emotions. Don't talk about their emotions, right? Rub dirt on it or something. Be a man, toughen up. And sure enough, they should have this mindset of being fortified and tough. But then again, there should be an outlet for them. When we have wonderful guests coming up, we're talking about men's groups and men's emotions and boys and how they develop and how they're different than girls. We had an episode that came out a little bit ago about that. And it is all playing the tune of we're all human in a sense, right? Now, we're not all human in a sense, we're all human, of course. But the idea of being human is flesh and body, mind, body, and soul, right? And we are going to have ups and downs. We're going to have good days and bad days. And we're going to have moments when we feel scared, maybe, and moments when we feel brave and confident. And as much as I would love to say, let's adapt a mindset to always be confident, always be brave, and always be ambitious, and always be disciplined. There's going to be some days when that idea in your mind might say, you know what? Let's take it easy. Let's eat some cake. Let's eat some ice cream. Let's live a little bit. And I always say you need to do the work in order to figure out how you want to live, because you can live in comfort in the sense of eating ice cream every single day, and it feels good. It will feel good, right? You can live in the comfort of eating pizza or your favorite fast food every single day. Maybe you don't want to eat chicken and broccoli or rice and chicken, and you don't want to go to the gym, and you don't want to do cardio, and you don't want to do something because it is hard. It doesn't feel good. And the more you do things, whether you like it or not, you become acclimated to it. So if you don't like something and the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. And the more you're going to appreciate it, maybe. Because maybe in the beginning, you didn't like washing dishes or something. Like when I was a kid, for example, I didn't like washing dishes. And I don't know what it was, me washing dishes, but it was like, we grew up in the ghetto, right? So we didn't have like hot water or anything. And so the water we would have to use is cold water. If we wanted to wash the dishes, we would have to boil water on the stove. If the stove was working, we would, do that. And then so we would have some soap and of course, and, or sponges, whatever, or rags, and we would wash the dishes, right? Now, when I don't know, it was because I wasn't tall enough or something. And I just smelled like all the chemicals and everything, or maybe like the grease, and because I didn't have the hot water. I don't necessarily know why I didn't want to do the dishes, right? It's like every single time I did the dishes, I felt like nauseous. And I was like, this is weird, right? But then, sure enough, fast forward 28 years, probably less, me able to wash the dishes. And actually, I worked at a nursing home when I was like 15, 16. And I was a dishwasher. I was, working on the line and, cooking food, things like that. But I started as a dishwasher, essentially. I would wash the dishes and I didn't have any problem washing the dishes, right? There was hot water. There was good soap. We had plenty of supplies. Fast forward to today, I can wash dishes, no problem. But then again, I understood something, like during that time when I was acclimating, it felt wrong. It didn't feel right. I felt nauseous. And I know people who come out and work out with me in the beginning, they were like, I feel like I'm going to throw up. And I go, okay, that's a good feeling, right? In a sense, because your body's just trying to figure out, how do I operate now? Right? Because you might be pushing it to the limit. And so you have to fortify the mind. You have to have a strong mental. Now, the brain health, again, the foods we eat, the nutrients, are you taking your vitamins? Are you eating vegetables? And I mean, there's so many aspects to it. Are you sleeping well? And I understand sleeping well might be difficult if you have a newborn, and maybe you have a demanding job and you might have insomnia and you need to, look at a sleep doctor. There are things that you have to do the work for. And if you are suffering or struggling in an area, it is dependent on you to take the action, right? Everything is riding on you, right? Your success, your happiness, your fulfillment is riding on you. So you're better off making sure that you have the right mind for the job. Whatever job you want to do or accomplish later on in life, you need to be setting yourself up for that. So, brain health and mental health, again, there is a difference. It all leads to the mindset, right? Because let's say you did all the work, right? You ate healthy, you got a good amount of sleep, you did everything that you were supposed to do, right? Your brain is healthy, it's operating in good, mental waves. And of course, you can get brain scans to how your brain is functioning. And I encourage people to get a brain scan if you are dealing with something in your life where maybe you're procrastinating, or if you're, not showing up in some area of your life. get a brain scan, figure out how your brain is operating at that time. Because maybe you have dealt with stress all of your life that it has become second nature to you. It feels so comfortable, where if you are not stressed, you feel like something is wrong. So for me, if I'm stressed or if I'm anxious, I'm like, wait, something's wrong, you know? But again, there's some people who have just acclimated to that stress. Now, again, we talked about good stresses and bad stresses in the podcast. Bad stress is dead. Good stress is I have to go to the gym to work out, right? You have to figure out what that is for you. When you give yourself these stresses, they should help you with some level of progress. And if it's not helping you with some level of progress, then you need to be looking at, well, what are the good things that are going to lead to a better mental and a better brain? Because if you keep doing the things that are not strengthening the brain, right? So if you, for example, you say, all right, I'm going to go out with some friends. You say, I'm not going to drink tonight. Sure enough, you go out and your friends are saying, you're not going to drink, well, you're a baby and things like that. And you drink, right? That drink, whether you like it or not, is toxic, right? That alcohol is toxic. Your body can't use the alcohol. That's why your liver has to take away everything, all the harmful toxins. And sure enough, right, it might make you feel good. It might make you brave, like you get your bear goggles and everyone's beautiful. But now you're suffering. That brain health is now deprived of nutrients, of water, because the alcohol is going to get you dehydrated. There's so many different things now where you're suffering. So that's why in the morning you might have a headache, you have a hangover, you are literally lethargic the whole entire day. You didn't do much besides have a good night out with your friends, you thought, right? Well, that's the brain health, right? So the brain is literally trying to recover. Now, the aspect of the mental during that time, what would happen if you didn't drink? Well, my friends might not appreciate me. I might feel anxious that they're not going to want to hang out with me. I might be depressed because I didn't do or fall into line with what everyone else was doing. And I mean, we can go down the line of things that the mental is going to be thinking about, and it's going to weigh heavy on you because now you're so worried about an external stimulus versus understanding what you need to do in your day. Now, I say when it comes to other people, in a sense, like friends and maybe even family, there should be a fine line in what is allowed by you and by them. Because you want someone coming over your house and saying, hey, how you doing? Opening the door without knocking, going in your fridge and literally doing a grocery shopping in your house, right? That's not acceptable, right? And I say that it seems like common sense, but many people don't even realize it's happening. Friends might come over, they might have a good time, and then they take from you. And basically, it's like they come in and they take from your account and they don't necessarily deposit anything into your account. This is not everyone, of course. I think more people today have refined who they allow in their lives. The issue is not so much of who is in your life, but the quality of the people who are in your life. Because you could have maybe 5 to 10 people who are in your life right now. And sure enough, there's going to be people who are struggling, who might not have good brain health or good mental health because they're not sleeping well, because they're not doing the right things. Maybe, they're suffering with anxiety, and all of these things are going to be kind of rubbing off on you the more you hang out with them, right? It's the same idea of you are the proponent of the people that you hang around with. So if you hang around with 10 anxious people, I bet you're going to be the 11th. If you hang around 9 broke people, you're going to be the 10th. But we're not necessarily talking about money. We're talking about brain health. We're talking about mental health. So you're hanging around with 5 people who don't feel like life is meaningful. Maybe you'll start to look at how meaningless life is. But then again, you can hang around with people who are so exuberant about positivity, exuberant about change and, doing what they have to do. And sometimes people can put on a good front. I know people who are saying, live in the moment, be present. And sure enough, they're so anxious. They're literally trying to cover up their own emotions. So You can lie to yourself and you can say, yeah, I'm trying to cover up my emotions and I'm trying to do what I feel as if I need to do, but I'm not showing up fully. And it's because most likely you're lacking in the brain health area. You're lacking in sleep. You're lacking in the nutrients. You're lacking in the resources necessary because you might want to build a home. You might want to build a house. You might want to build a mansion, but you don't have the wood. You don't have the nails. You don't have the concrete. You don't have the skill. And so the ambition alone is not enough in our world today. You need something more. You have to give yourself the foundation. And so there's things that you can do. And I have it all in this article here, Brain Health versus Mental Health. Make sure you read it from start to finish. You're going to learn so many critical skills and you're going to learn how you can enhance your brain health. Of course, we talked very general today with brain health because I wanted to, as much as I wanted to read this blog today to you, to say, hey, this is the article. The link is right down below. I encourage everyone to read it because the brain health aspect alone is so powerful. Now, the mental health aspect, yes, we have a mental health crisis in America, and we can look at what we need to do in order to heal our mental. When it comes to our mental, as much as I would like to say, to do it yourself and to be, like a DIYer or like do it yourselfer or something, whatever the acronym is, you should look for a mentor, a guide, a therapist, a counselor, someone who can help you on that mental journey. Because when it comes to roadblocks, and if we are the proponent to that roadblock, right, we believe we can't do something, or if we're doing something negative, we need sometimes people to shake us awake. Now, if we choose not to seek any help from a coach, a mentor, guide, counselor, therapist, whatever, you're going to fall into a traumatic moment, a hardship. I always tell people, you can avoid this. You can avoid the trauma. You can avoid the hardship. You can avoid the negativity. But many people, they think, I can do it myself. No, you can't. If you can, it could be a tedious journey, right? To fight the battles, to wake up in the dark and to maybe realize no one is coming to save you. Maybe to realize that you are the sole proponent to your happiness or your fulfillment and success. The obstacles that you have in your mind, the limits, you look in the mirror, you feel ugly or you feel inadequate, right? You are comparing yourself to other people. It's easy in our world today, our digital world today, to say, look at that person compared to me. Look what they have. Look what I have. And it happens unconsciously. You don't even know what's happening. And so I say it is more difficult to do it yourself in our world today. At some point, like you can become disconnected. Sure. Yes. You have definitely a higher probability, but even back then, people would leverage their communities, their churches, their families, their friends, maybe even, and organizations. One of the reasons why coaching is so big from the 80s and 90s and even till today is going to continue to be a growing trend because many people, they're trying to figure out, where can I get the help? Where can I get the support? And so you have to find someone who's going to not be afraid or bashful to go on that journey with you, to look at where you can improve your health, both body, mind, and soul in a sense, but then focusing on that mental, making sure it is strong, making sure that no matter what comes your way, any type of adversity and challenge and limiting beliefs, you are able to overcome it and triumph, right? At the end of the day, can you win? Can you beat your mind? And if you can't beat your mind, if you can't go on that treadmill and run 15 minutes at 5 miles an hour, it might say something about your physical, but it's going to also say more about your mental. Because when your body and your mind is saying, stop, 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 you fool, you better not stop. Because in life, the moment you stop is maybe the moment you die. There's a saying in the military, they say, move if you want to live. Because if the enemy is chasing you down, you better make sure every single step that you put has intention to get away from that enemy, or to make sure you stay away from that enemy and to make sure that you stay alive and in the fight of life. The choice is yours at the end of the day. You can succumb to all the negativities, depressions, anxieties, and stresses the world is going to give you, or you can begin to work on them and embrace them and understand them, and then divvy them up in a sense and start to work through them. Because when it comes to our life, when it comes to our mind, we have to make sure we are in good brain health and mental health. It's a battle against yourself. Are you going to come out victorious? The answer or the solution lies within your mind right now.